Hello, everybody. So, this is the Calico community meeting for the month of November. We're going to share with you Calico news, everything that we have done, some stuff about KubeCon, and every sort of other thing in between. We have a bunch of Calico engineers with us, so feel free to join the community meeting. Here is the best place to ask your questions. Instead of just like creating a GitHub issue, you could just directly come here, talk about something, go like, all right, maybe I make a PR, maybe I make an issue. Or if you already have an issue, you just hop on, ask question around it, fill in the blanks, those sort of things.
GitHub issues are also fine if you don't want to do that.
That is correct. Um, and today I have Casey, Lance, and Michael with me for now. Hopefully other people will join. Um, Amazing engineers from Tegera working on Project Calico. And with that, we're gonna get into our KubeCon story. So if you didn't heard about it, there was a KubeCon, sort of like a big thing in Atlanta. It was all about Kubernetes and every sort of like project around Kubernetes. Um, so here was our setup. This is CalicoCon, where we like hosted a lot of uh, people to tell them about the good things of Calico, mainly Whisker and Ingress Gateway. Sorry, Gateway API. Ingress Gateway is being deprecated, and you should try to move to Gateway API. Anyway, Peter Kelly here, you can see him in the left picture. Started with like what is new in Calico, these sort of things. More picture about the CalicoCon venue. And it's not a sort of tech event if you don't throw a party in. So here was our party. Obviously, we're not sharing other pictures of the party, but here was the
Hmm.
venue. The venue was Atlanta, the restaurant, Revolving restaurant.
Yeah, it's called the Compass, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was really cool. The whole not the whole thing spun, but like where the tables and chairs were, there was a thin strip that spun around. And I think because the whole thing didn't spin, it could move a lot faster than most of these like rooftop things that spin. So uh we got to see things several times as we went around.
It was so funny. Like before the event, I was trying to put in some like talking points for Partech, and I sort of Googled about this restaurant, and one of the things was why it's not revolving. So I'm not gonna share it on the stream, but if you're interested, share why it's not revolving. Anyway, so we also participated in KubeCon. We had a booth. We usually have booths, sometimes smaller, sometimes bigger. These days we tend to go around bigger, and we share sort of like stickers, t-shirts, plushies, every sort of like merch, sort of Calico merch. And we do a lot of like activities around our booth. For instance, we have something called Silent Disco. You don't need to dance. It's just the name of it is Silent Disco. We share some tech fact with you about Calico, for instance, how eBPF works, these sort of things. That being said, some observations. We Our CalicoCon event was both in person and online. So online people sort of asked a couple of questions. It was around 31 questions. I've highlighted a couple of them, but Calico Whisker was very popular between both online and in-person people who were at the event. Nobody knew about the eBPF benchmark. So in 2024, there was a benchmark between like Cilium, Calico, Flannel, I don't know, all sort of things they could run some sort of eBPF. And it was published and nobody knew about it and everybody was surprised. Oh, so Calico does actually eBPF and it's better than Cilium in like some areas. That is interesting. So yeah. The other one was a couple of people came with questions, which is like, oh, we are running like these many nodes and we're having like some issues. I'm like, yeah, maybe less nodes or something. But for these sort of questions, come to our Slack channel or the community meeting so we can help you. Now, another question was because we announced we're sort of moving toward eBPF as default, and that doesn't mean every sort of like installation right now is defaulting to eBPF. It just we're providing a new resource that allows you to install Calico as with eBPF data plane as default. That being said, Calico has a pluggable data plane, and it's sort of like you can change that um, configuration to anything that you like. You can still go to nftable or IP tables if you wish. It just our resources are going to be around eBPF. And the other one was around Whisker. Actually, on the eBPF data plane as default, given that we have engineers here, any sort of insight, like all that I remember is our custom resources, which is how we instruct Tigera operator to install Calico. We'll have one that is like custom resources eBPF, right?
Yeah, so um, default is a term that could have many meanings. Um, and in 330, we have not made it the default for most platforms. We've substantially improved the ease to switch to eBPF, removing a lot of configurations, specifically when running on top of kubeadm based clusters. And we switched one or two guides. I know we switched our sort of like on-premise kubeadm guide to use eBPF as the default. And the plan is to keep picking off those guides as we go on to switch more of those.
Thank you, Casey. So another question was, these are, by the way, copy paste of the questions, so there might be typos in these sort of stuff. I just want it to be like very
Mhm.
original. But one of the question was, oh, is it correct to say we can replace Prometheus and Grafana by Calico Whisker? This was during the Calico Whisker demo.
Mhm. Yeah, I
And
got a little late for that one.
yeah, and the question was around, oh, you were showing me traffic, and I was wondering if I can like plug everything else that I have, sort of like creating an SIEM sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. It's not sorry about that. Still getting over this cold. Not intended to be like a general purpose metrics and log ingestion system. Um, I think we're more looking at ways that we can integrate the log data that we're generating into these other platforms. So, like on my list is to figure out if there's meaningful data that we can export via Prometheus metrics from Goldmain to allow you to build dashboards on top of this. I know we've also looked at like OpenTelemetry and other areas that we'll be exploring more.
And that being said, previous CalicoCon, so in Paris, there's like videos of it in our YouTube channel, which shows you exactly how you can export all the flows from Goldmain to whatever you want using gRPC. So basically, the components for Calico Whisker are all open source, and basically you can build whatever you want. Um, and if you like to do it and share it with us. We'll help you to get more traction for your project. Or, yet better, create a PR for us and say, oh, here is the integration. Okay, another thing that I sort of found interesting was people were asking, oh, I'm on like 327, I'm on like 328. What happens if I upgrade? Is this going to be like automatic change to eBPF as default?
No, we uh we try not to make substantial changes without asking or giving the user a say. So you'll stay on the same data plane you're on. We don't want to disrupt anything, but it is substantially easier to switch uh, in 331.
And with that, I'm gonna stop this share because I have to open another share. So, in terms of Calico updates, we released Calico 331.1. It was
And
after
point two yesterday.
330. Yeah, and point two. So apparently Lance is the best person to tell us about 331 and 2. Uh, so Lance, any sort of like wisdom around the release?
Uh, you caught me completely unprepared. Um, I can explain why there is a why at the point two came out yesterday. Um,
Please do
so
while digging the PRs that I want to show.
okay, so that was simply because we had a node labeling issue. Um, so in the Docker file, so there's a bunch of labels we add to the images for the purposes, for example, for OpenShift certification. And there was a typo in one of those labels. So that's why there was a sudden .2 release.
Yeah. Thank you. And now I'm back to the regular scheduled program. So, a couple of things that I want to highlight is in 332, we're working toward a QoS policy. Now, it's sort of now that everybody is like in the game of Ingress controller to gateway API. Most of that movement was about, oh, each vendor trying to do some sort of annotation, and like these annotations are getting out of hand. Currently, you can do QoS. It's not that difficult. You just add annotations. But again, you would run into that issue of like, oh, a lot of annotations. So we are sort of working toward similar to like policies, you can create a network policy that has a place that you can add QoS to it. Are we going to get rid of annotations? I don't think so right now, but this sort of seems like a, a general direction, sort of like toward that way. This was one of the things that I sort of found interesting. I don't know if there's like any insight on this because Mazdak is not with us right now. The
It's not
Go
something
ahead.
I'm super in the loop on.
Okay, fill us in.
No, I said it's not something.
Oh,
I'm sorry. We would
okay.
need Nasdaq to talk about that one.
All right. So the other thing is, you already talked about this, I believe, on a couple of um, community meetings ago, and it was flow support. So
Yeah.
for the complete like rundown of what it is, I believe it was last month's or the month before. I can post it on the description of the YouTube video that we're gonna share. But we are in the process of using flow tables in nftables.
Yeah, I've got the PR up. It's a little bit out of date, and I've actually kind of deprioritized this a little bit for other work that I'm doing. Um, but it's definitely something that I still want to do. There's this. There's one of the major nftables updates that's still on my backlog, and uh, actually just came out this morning. But I also want to make it a little bit easier to auto detect whether kubeproxy is in nftables mode and just have Calico um, follow along with whatever kubeproxy is doing.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
saw a person was like asking for it on a GitHub issue, I think.
Probably, yeah. There's also somebody in Slack this morning. Um, this is definitely one that I want to do, um, but there were some open questions that stalled me for a moment, and I just need to get back to it. I've actually been working more on the API server removal, which is a long and arduous process, but we'll get there.
Yeah, that it keeps coming back with like more sort of like fruits. Oh, here are some errors, fix them. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, every day there's another reason why we should get rid of it.
Yeah. Um, so these two are like the PRs that I found very interesting. Right now, 332 is on the horizon. We're getting close to it, but we're just starting to like put our eggs in a basket and be like, oh, here's going to be release around like these sort of features.
Yeah, I think the full scope isn't quite figured out yet. I know we're
Yeah.
also looking at some Whisker improvements and Goldman API improvements that should improve filtering abilities for a few different use cases. Um, what else? Mine's kind of drawing a blank right now.
It's all right. We can add it to the video description. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about was so with 331, there is an operator update, and now you can add a bunch of things to the Gateway API resource. And these are sort of like what your gateway class can be named. So initially, there was only one sort of gateway class that was Tigera Gateway class. But now you can change it to whatever you want. That would help you with like a lot of sort of like conformance tests, or if you have some sort of compliance to like adhere to a naming scheme, those sort of things. There's also bunch of other sort of tweaks that you can do. For instance, our Gateway API implements, I believe, manifests from Gateway API repo, and those are version 1.3 something. So if you want to change it, you can basically in your installation just change the CRD management. So how it would look like, it would look like da, 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 something like this. Hopefully, I'm sharing the correct monitor and not my private browsing, but here is how it would look like. So basically, you create your Gateway API resource that the operator will pick up, and you can add these sort of like values and keys to it and be like, all right, I want my gateway class to be something. I want my CRD management to take place on these sort of things. And with that, I'm out of words. Anything that I forgot to mention?
Nothing on my end. Thank you for all the words that you did have.
Thank you. It's quite difficult in the morning, but yeah, I managed it. Okay. So with that, I believe this short and sweet community meeting should come to an end.
Cool.
Any objections?
Yep,
Okay.
seconded. Thanks, Reza.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. Bye.
Thank you.